was just too dangerous, which is why we moved behind this building on the right side of your screen there, just for our safety. There are those, hey, it's a free country. They can walk around all they want, but we heard pop, 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 and one person came up to us and said, it's just too dangerous to be here. There's the tire store off in the distance. That tire store got partially damaged. What you're seeing that's on fire now, those used to be mobile homes. This mobile home park was told to evacuate. It seems like on the outside, the mobile homes that were closest to the gun shop, to the street, those homes definitely went up in flames, because as we move the camera over here, these homes are empty right now. I don't even see any power inside. They were told to evacuate. It looks like these homes are just fine. They're safe. And then those homes are gone as well. It's still obviously very smoky. Breathing is still quite very difficult. The winds every now and then pick up. The fire truck has been there for quite some time, focusing on that area. We showed you a whole bunch of fire trucks leaving the scene here, rushing to another area. You just heard the interview with CAL FIRE. No injuries, no fatalities, I should say. And that's the good news at this point. People are not being allowed to return to this mobile home park. And this is off of Range and Bicentennial Way. A lot of people live in Santa Rosa and they want to know specific addresses. So I'm at the mobile home basically off of Range Avenue and Bicentennial Way. They were told to evacuate. Some homes went up in flames. Others are just fine. But right now they're not allowing anybody to return, as they have set up a blockade, or a barricade, I should say, of police officers and fire trucks, just to make sure that people don't drive their cars back to this location.
Town mobile home park, Will, for anybody who lives there and is watching the broadcast
and
this morning.
We saw another mobile home park on the other side of the highway too, and it looked like that one was on fire.
The Journeys and mobile home park, and that's the one that made it really dangerous for Kaiser.
Yeah,
because they share a border.
We haven't heard the end of this at all, as we've heard from CAL FIRE. All of these fires are out of control still at this moment. A lot of people are talking about the evacuation centers for people and pets, and then there's also the livestock and that angle, you know, and they've got a equestrian center that's open for livestock. I wondered this too. Safari West. Do you know Safari West?
Right.
Yeah. So that's a 400-acre wildlife preserve.
Yeah, that's up in Santa Rosa.
I've been there a million times, and I thought those are all wild, like gazelles. They have, you know, giraffes. They have all of these animals out there. And Safari West went on Facebook to let everybody know they don't know. They don't really know. Their guests and their staff are fine. They evacuated, but they're going to update us. We don't know about, you know, all of the animals in that 400-acre wildlife preserve that they had to leave. So many people, animals, pets, everybody affected by this horrible dozen or more fires throughout a 20-mile swath of the North Bay, from Santa Rosa to Sonoma to Napa and Calistoga. They're all affected this morning. Viewers have been sending us in video. We've been watching helplessly as people have been watching homes go burn down to the ground because they cannot get ahead of this thing.
Yeah, I don't know if Will can still hear me. He may have turned off his earpiece by now, but that mobile home park is right next door to the Trader Joe's. The people earlier were saying it looks like Trader Joe's might be on fire.
Right.
I don't know if maybe Will can verify that for us when we come back to him next time around.
Yes, James, I can hear you. I believe I cannot make out Trader Joe's at this point, but it looks like a lot of the buildings in this vicinity. Earlier this morning, you saw us on Bicentennial Way, the overpass. Since then, we made it over to this location. So we're on the backside of the strip mall. For those who live in this area, obviously, they know specifically the stores and the homes and the hotels. I believe the Trader Joe's is on the other side of that building. For whatever reason, is still intact. Thank goodness that building's still intact. I do believe the Trader Joe's is on the other side of that building, and if it's close to what I think it is, where the hotels, the restaurants are, that Trader Joe's, if anything, is either badly damaged. Would not be surprised if it's destroyed, because it was standing right in front of me. That area, that was just a big ball of fire as far as Trader Joe's is concerned. But it's just too early to assess the situation right now. The firefighters, when we talk to a retired firefighter, he says they are stretched so thin. Santa Rosa usually on any typical fire would throw 4 or 5 fire engines to say, let's make example Trader Joe's. They would throw so much at it. But at this point now, they cannot get to it. They have to evacuate people. Lives are the most important thing. thing. But if I had to speculate, guys, I believe that Trader Joe's badly damaged, if not destroyed, because of the people in Santa Rosa were telling me in that general area were hotels and motels and the Trader Joe's.
Yeah, wow. All right.
And I don't know how mobile you are, Will, with the closures of the streets and everything else, but I think maybe just a couple blocks to your north is that Kmart that we heard from Maureen earlier saying the entire Kmart was engulfed in flames.
Yeah.
That'd be interesting to see what it looks like now.
It's weird that we see, I mean, we're not used to fires in cities that spread like this, because normally, like Will said, they say, oh, a building is on fire, they surround it and stop it from spreading. But in this case, not only could they not surround it, but it was spreading not from roof to roof like the fire itself. It was spreading with embers going miles away. Pop-up fire miles away.
In the backyard here, a median strip there.
Right. So, and this is something that they're dealing with actively. Governor Brown quickly this morning declaring a state of emergency, as you're going to see all kinds of resources as they are still funneling in to the North Bay right now, continuing that.
All right, let's get over to the traffic center. Robin Winston keeping an eye on some of the closures that are still out there this morning as folks are trying to get out of harm's way. What do you got for us, Robin?
Yes, it's dangerous to be traveling on North Bay roads and freeways right now as crews are dealing with power outages, down power lines, down trees, black intersections where the traffic lights are just out and not even working. That's why many transit agencies have just completely canceled service. Take a look at the list. This is a short list that I have here, which includes the Sonoma County bus service, the Golden Gate Transit service that goes through Santa Rosa, canceled. Smart Rail service for Santa Rosa, completely canceled. And Petaluma Transit, the portion that provides the school buses for Petaluma, completely canceled today. So keep that in mind. Also, here's a look at 101. CHP issued a traffic alert from 101 earlier this morning in Santa Rosa. Yes, it's still closed. It's the area that's highlighted in purple here, and that includes North and South 101 between Still Lane and Shiloh. They are still diverting traffic away from the area. Now, traffic is better getting through Santa Rosa south of the closure, but then you have some folks who are evacuating and still going south into Rohnert Park in Petaluma and trying to get into Novato. So it's just one long stretch of heavy traffic. So it's a combination of commuters and a combination of evacuees. So you will be sitting in traffic from right around 116 coming out of Cotati all the way up to the county line. Here's another major closure, Highway 37, you know, always used during the morning commute. Westbound completely closed. So that means if you normally come out of Vallejo and head west over to 121 or Novato or 101, you can't do that this morning. They are limiting your access to Sonoma County and Napa County. But if you're leaving and you have to head east out of Novato over to Vallejo, they've reopened the eastbound lane. So that is some good news. Highway 12 also blocked in both directions between Warm Springs and Arnold. So several closures in place, portions of 121. I'm hearing that portions of Silverado Trail coned off as well. So yeah, not a good morning to be driving through the North Bay with so many roads blocked off and debris. You know, it's windy and we've had reports of debris all over the road too, and that can be dangerous as well.
It's crazy, and we're just at the beginning of it, you know, where we're just getting the fresh numbers in so far that it looks like if you add it all up, we're well over 30,000 acres of different towns throughout the North Bay that are on fire, and still fires out of control at this hour with resources, fire crews, everybody heading up to Santa Rosa, Napa, Sonoma.
Yeah, we just talked with a representative from CAL FIRE this morning, and she talked about how those winds were the critical factor in why this fire spread so fast and impacted so many locations from Calistoga down to the Sonoma Valley and the Napa Valley and the hills surrounding those communities as well. Let's get the latest on the weather front. Annie Hong tracking those winds this morning. Annie?
Yeah, the winds are actually continuing to back off. So that is encouraging news for firefighters. But because of the winds coming in from the north and northeast, it's impacting the entire Bay Area. So we now have a smoke advisory in effect for the Bay Area. What you want to do over the next couple of days is you want to limit your outdoor activities, keep your windows closed, run AC on recycle or recirculate. And I have a lot of moms on my Facebook mom group asking, hey, is it okay to take my kids to the playground, even to the zoo? And it's really not an ideal day to do that. So you would definitely want to limit outdoors activities for the kids today, and I'll of course check on the elderly, and also keep your pets indoors today as well. Red flag warning continues for all Bay Area hills and mountains until 5 a.m. tomorrow. We have strong strong northeasterly winds expected, up to 55-mile-an-hour gusts, and we did see that happening early this morning. Very dry conditions, relative humidity down to 10 to 20% in Santa Rosa and Napa, still in the teens. What are the winds doing right now? Sustained winds, not too bad for most of the Bay Area. Fairfield at 20 miles an hour. It's still in the North Bay where you see kind of these yellows and the blues. That's where we're seeing some of the stronger winds. Our future wind gust shows us, you'll see the numbers going down as I put the clock into motion. And so that's the good news. The winds will continue to back off throughout the morning hours, and looks like we'll definitely see some calmer conditions. But if you're higher up in elevation, that's not the case. We're going to still see some gusty conditions into later tonight and into tomorrow. Let's check out our air quality. I just updated this graphic here, and you can see if in the North Bay, the coast, including San Francisco and the Bay, it is unhealthy for sensitive groups. That includes the elderly, children, and people who have asthma or health issues. The East Bay and South Bay, under a moderate air quality. And looks like air quality will be compromised at least through tomorrow. I do start to see an improvement in air quality on Wednesdays. So make sure you've got some indoor activities planned for the kids today and tomorrow. Right now, temperatures are warming up. It's already in the low 70s in Concord, 60s for Oakland, Napa in the mid 60s, also in Santa Rosa. And our highs today, it is going to be warming up. So this is also not good for firefighters battling those fires up in the North Bay. You can see Santa Rosa's high today, upper 80s, 85 in Napa, also in Novato, upper 70s in Vallejo. The East Bay, inland looking at close to mid 80s today, low 80s for Oakland and Hayward, and 83 in San Jose. So we'll keep our eye on these fire conditions for the next couple of days. It looks like we're still under critical fire conditions through today and into early tomorrow morning. Daria and James, back to you.
There are fires raging in homes and businesses right now, just dotting through Santa Rosa, especially, and Napa and Sonoma. Look at this. A viewer sent in this home complete. There's no crews around. They just had to save people and leave neighborhoods. And this home just went up like a torch, as you can see. And that's what happened when an ember lands on one home, torches it, moves to another home or a whole other neighborhood.
Yeah. It's been pretty incredible, and pictures like these of what we've been getting all morning long. This one sent to us by Camila Bernal, one of our own reporters out there, but viewers have been sending us in photos and video clips as well, so keep those coming in. Use the Crom 4 mobile app to do that. I was just looking at the map and just sort of mapping out in my own head how this fire progressed from Calistoga down to Santa Rosa, and I was just looking at I guess it just left my mind earlier where Safari West was located.
Yes, Safari West, right.
It's right in the middle of Calistoga and Santa Rosa. So this fire had to have damaged at least that property as it marched over the ridge and down into
and they have
Santa Rosa.
All these animals from all over the world, you know, that they bring to Safari West. It's a fantastic place. They have these tent cabins and 400 acres.
So while people
those
animals were able
they
to
can't evacuate them. People are trying to evacuate their horses and their pets. And Safari West has, you know, giraffes and just giant exotic animals roaming free. They're roaming everywhere. So it's not like you can just corral them and head out. Yeah, this is just devastating for people, for animals, for entire neighborhoods. Teresa Stasio has been looking at some of the damage, and there are active fires happening. I don't want to talk in past tense because nothing is controlled at this point. There are fires actively burning, and they haven't even gotten to many of them. Teresa, where are you, and what do you see right now?
I'm on air.
Go ahead. Teresa.
Oh, I don't think she can hear it. Oh, there she is.
Can you guys hear me?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, so I am next to Rincon Middle School, and I can see just across the street a whole neighborhood that's engulfed in flames. The flames are shooting high up in the air. This is just across the street of Rincon Middle School. People are outside their homes, mass evacuations. Flames in front of me. The field had caught on fire from a burning ember. Then it jumped into this neighborhood. I can see crews in front of me. A fire truck just went down a road here. And again, this is off of Drake, right across the way from Rincon Middle School.
So the school is on fire, and these neighbors, they're there? This is a neighborhood that had not been evacuated?
This is a neighborhood that it's hard to tell what's been evacuated or not, just because it's just so chaotic right now. But I'm going to tell you that Middle school is not up in flames.
Oh,
it's across the street from the middle school.
Okay.
It's the neighborhood across the street from Rankin Middle School. And the flames, Daria, are crazy.
Oh, so so the neighborhood, and there are people there because you see people. We don't know if they've been evacuated or not, but obviously there's still people.
There are a lot of people that, a lot of people don't know exactly where to go because I'm in a valley, so it's hard to know exactly where to go other than to get out of here.
Yeah.
But I can see probably half a dozen people, and I'm just going to get some video as I'm wondering whether I should.
Yeah, I'm wondering about you too, Teresa.
Yeah.
Do your job. Go. Do that. Be safe. Safe number one. Job number two. We had Will Tran outside of a burned down gun shop, and the ammunitions were still going off.
So he had to leave.
He had to leave. So we're giving you the coverage, the best coverage we can, and these fires are still active. They're nowhere near controlled. They're spotty, and they're over miles and miles and miles.
Right. And Teresa was in the Rincon Valley, the middle school. She was there right nearby. You've got Maria Carrillo High School.
Okay.
There's also Brinkley Elementary School not too far away. So obviously that whole area under siege right now with some of these flames. And we'll try and get you updated on the fire's progression through that part of Santa Rosa. Daria mentioned Will Tran a moment ago. Let's get back to him live this morning and get the latest from his position. Are you still out there at the mobile home park, Will? You are. Okay.
I'm still at the mobile home park. People are walking back to their homes. Yes, this is an area that was evacuated, but the resources are stretched so thin that they're not going to tell people. I've been to other fires, like say a neighborhood fire. They would put a crime scene tape across the street, right? So you're not allowed to come back. But because the resources are stretched so thin, people are returning without, say, quote unquote, the permission of the fire department because they have so many fires to deal with. I can hear off in the distance sirens going off. So this is obviously far from over. It's been a very long overnight for many people who live in this mobile home park, including Dave.
Yeah.
Thank you for joining me, sir.
Thank you.
Can you tell us what you heard, what you saw?
Sure. It was about 11:30 last night. We had the wind was blowing so bad, the smoke was coming through. You could smell it in the air, but didn't really know that there was a fire happening until I saw it on the news. And then the evacuation orders came in. It was so smoky in here that you could hardly see, even to get out of here. And I mean, just to go right around the corner over here probably took me about 20 minutes to get there. It took that long to get my car, my dog, my clothes, and get out of here right away. As you can see, the destruction over here. That was heading over here. It could have just taken out this whole park. But I mean, it was just so devastating. And I know a lot of these people that live right there, and the losses that they're going to suffer just touches our heart. And this is happening throughout Sonoma County and everywhere else. It is zero containment.
Absolutely. You hit it right on the head. It's 0% containment. Was visibility so poor that you couldn't see more than a few feet in front of you?
You couldn't see that tree if you were standing here.
That tree right there that we're showing right now.
See, if you could see off in the distance over here, see how that's on, and that's not that far away, right over there.
Yes.
And it was worse than that right here. And we didn't even know that this had taken off yet. And then when we pull out, and then you could just see fires everywhere. I mean, they were just.
It was a bright orange glow in the sky.
It was unbelievable. And I could see the lights flashing. Kaiser Hospital's right over here, and I was highly worried about Kaiser Hospital.
That's where I was, and they were evacuating people, say, from 3 o'clock to 5 o'clock in the morning, using city buses, Dave, to remove people from that area because they needed to fast, orderly. They were fragile, older patients. So absolutely.
And then there was volunteer people that had trucks and motorhomes and stuff that were taking patients, putting them in their trucks and driving them to San Rafael to get them to Kaiser there.
Well, what are you, a reporter? You stay on top of this. Okay, so as far as the guns, did you hear where we purposely moved, say, 30 minutes ago because we kept hearing pop, 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 pop. Were you concerned at all about the gun shop right next door to us?
That was a big concern. We didn't want to come around here because of that. I even asked my dad, can that actually go off with the heat? And sure enough, it did. But a lot of the transformers were blowing up, and a lot of the hot water heaters that are in those were exploding too. So the explosions were just multiple. They were nonstop, and they just kept going throughout the night.
And your home is okay?
My home is okay, but I don't feel so lucky because this is what I feel. This is what devastates me right here. Is that I knew a lot of these people. These were families. They were young people. That's a new home right there.
Right on the left side of your screen, yes.
Yeah, that
looks new.
Yeah, they just remodeled that. That was brand new. I remember watching that one come in. I mean, this is just unbelievable.
And you were talking about the windy conditions, right? So over your right shoulder, you say that palm tree was bent.
I mean, it looked like it was almost bent in half. I thought it was going to blow out of the ground. I've never seen that thing bend and have that much give like that. I mean, it was unbelievable. I was shaking my house. I mean, I felt like it was an earthquake. And I mean, that's when your heart starts going. And, you know, like I said, I just got my clothes on, my dog, my money. I got my car, and I was out of here.
Well, we're glad you're okay. Thank you so much, Dave, for stopping by and telling us your story. So much going on right now across the street. That's the strip mall, just to give you the lay of the land. If you live in Santa Rosa, that's pretty much off of Range Avenue and Bicentennial. You can see an ambulance rushing by the scene. There's a power line that we saw a little bit earlier on the ground, so they might have deactivated it. There's no electricity, and probably PG&E has since removed it from the street. A lot of people heading back here. Again, I've covered so many fires. Just to give you a little texture of the lack of resources on any given fire, on any residential area, they have to preserve the area. There's yellow tape stretched across the roadways for people not to come back, but because they are so stretched thin that people are just walking back right now on their own, and they just will not pay attention to them because of the raging fires that still are burning out of control, Daria.
Yeah, look at all the hot spots these people can wander into, you know, the backyard of where their house used to be and get burnt, you know, without, that's why you're not supposed to, that thing could collapse right there.
Yeah, and you can see the fire engine off in the distance as they're, you know, obviously keeping an eye for anything that does break out again.
Look in the distance. I mean, this thing is, these fires, which are well over a dozen fires, are still actively burning. There are homes on fire. Teresa giving us a great example of that. She's in a neighborhood that's on fire right now.
Yeah.
So don't think because you can see Will with some destruction that these fires are out. They're not.
It's just getting started because firefighters have 0% containment on any of these fires, so they're still raging out of control in all directions. And that's impacting roads. We've got closures in effect because of downed trees or power lines or the fire itself. Robin Winston's doing a great job of keeping on top of it all, Robin.
Thank you. Thank you. It's a lot to keep track of, but there is a little bit of good news for people who take Highway 37. I just received word from Marin CHP that they have reopened Highway 37 in both directions. It's been closed for hours, both eastbound and westbound, limiting your access to Vallejo, American Canyon, Novato, 121. But once again, the traffic alert that was in place for Highway 37 has been canceled. It may change. These closures have been changing and expanding throughout the morning commute, but as of right now, you can get through on 37 east and west, and Lakeville Highway is also back open, so that gives you access to 37 and also to 116. Now, for the North Bay, 101 in Santa Rosa, it's still closed, and this is both directions, northbound and southbound, the area that we have highlighted in purple between Still Lane and Shiloh. They continue to divert traffic away from the area. A lot of the commute traffic and the evacuees have started to thin out on Highway 101 through Santa Rosa, so it's not as bad as it was earlier this morning when it was taking 2 hours to get from Santa Rosa all the way over to Novato. Yes, there is some heavy traffic still out there. It's south of 116 leaving Cotati through Petaluma. Folks just lined up heading into Novato. It goes all the way out to the county line. Now we're looking at maybe an hour 20, hour 15 minutes to get from Santa Rosa to Novato. But once again, at one point, it was 2 hours. So getting better, still slow. 101 still closed in Santa Rosa. This is also impacting mass transit. Many mass transit agencies that operate through the North Bay have completely canceled service for the morning since these fires are not under control. That includes Golden Gate Transit that services Santa Rosa. It's been canceled. The Smart Rail service through Santa Rosa will not operate this morning. Petaluma Transit service for the school buses not operating. The Sonoma County bus line out of service this morning once again because of the fire. So if I receive more info and new updates and closures, I will definitely pass it along. Back to you.
All right, and we definitely do expect that, given what's going on here with the wind and these fires being out of control. We want to talk more about that. The weather, plus it's going to be so hot up there today, Annie. They have their work cut out for them with that heat and the wind that's just making the firefight very difficult at this hour.
Yeah, we're going to have temperatures up in the North Bay, top out in the mid to upper 80s. You can see I just updated this graphic graphic here on the relative humidity, and you can see Santa Rosa 14%, Napa 17%, Concord also in the teens, Livermore and Hayward. So we have very dry conditions out there. Here's a look at the red flag warning that's still in effect right now through early tomorrow morning for all the Bay Area hills and mountains. We're going to have strong northeasterly winds gusting up to 55 miles an hour, and those dry conditions will continue. A smoke advisory has also been issued. This is the smoke that's coming in from the North Bay, all blowing from the north into the south to the rest of the Bay Area. So what you want to do is limit your outdoor activities, keep the windows closed, and of course limit outdoor activities for the kids especially, and check on the elderly and keep the pets inside as well. So right now, what are the winds doing? Well, they're continuing to back off. That's the good news. You can see sustained winds in the North Bay and down to less than 10 miles an hour for Novato. Napa also looking at some fairly light conditions. Still breezy, though, in Fairfield. If you look at the future wind gusts, you can see just at the surface, those wind gusts will continue to decrease throughout the afternoon today as expected, and they shouldn't be too bad as well into tomorrow. The only difference, though, is if you're up in the higher elevations, we'll definitely still see some stronger wind gusts up to anywhere from 30 to 50 miles an hour through at least early tomorrow morning. So we're still in some critical fire danger territory for the next 24 hours.
All right, we're into the 10 o'clock hour now, and if you're just joining us this morning, you're unaware of what's happened overnight. You probably smell the smoke by now. We have major fires, multiple fires burning across the North Bay in Napa, Sonoma, up near Calistoga, which is burned now down through northern portions of Santa Rosa and still advancing in all directions. We have Governor Jerry Brown declaring a state of emergency this morning as we've had high winds, as Annie's just mentioned, really spreading this fire. In a matter of 4 hours, it went from 0 acres to more than 20,000 and now 35,000 and growing.
Yeah, and Santa Rosa has seen so far the worst of it, with entire mobile home parks going up in flames, business plazas burning to the ground, and people, a lot of families come there.
Hey guys, good morning. Yes, a lot of families, a lot of people, even in the shelter and outside of the shelter, I've been kind of in and out, and I've seen people just walking in the streets in random parking lots, people just parked, and you can tell they've had to evacuate, and a lot of people just don't even know where to go. Inside the shelter, people telling me that they are just confused. They don't know what comes next. They don't know what to do about their belongings, about their houses. A lot of them grabbed just whatever they can get last minute. Some of them told me, I just grabbed my wallet and I left. A lot of them didn't even have their clothes on. They had to borrow from other people. I mean, people just were caught off guard because it was in the middle of the night and they just grabbed whatever they could, and they're coming to these shelters and they're just confused. They don't know what to do or what's going to happen.
And you mentioned earlier that they were starting to register these evacuees and upload that information to safeandwell.org. Is that process still going on, or have they completed it?
Correct. I think they're starting in a slow process because we do have hundreds of people in this shelter. So I don't think it's going to be, a 10-minute process. It's going to be a long process. They're going to register everybody in. A lot of the elderly, as I mentioned earlier this morning, are getting registered. And people can go and check out safeandwell.org, and that's where they're going to see the database. They're going to have to in person and ask for a loved one. They're not going to tell you. They're not
kind
allowed,
of losing.
I will not give you that information.
All of these evacuation centers on our website at crown4.com and through our mobile app. A lot of people are at evacuation centers right now, got out of their homes at midnight, 1, 2, 3, 4 in the morning. So we think that everybody's evacuated from neighborhoods that have caught fire, but the fires aren't over and they're not done with spreading either.
No.
So that's a big concern this morning, is safety of our crews too. I mean, we had Will Tran, who had to stop a live shot because first he couldn't, shop had caught fire and ammunitions were going.
Before getting out of there.
Right. Maureen Kelly, she's been dutifully going from spot to spot in another neighborhood now in Santa Rosa. Where are you?
Daria, right now I am I'm standing in front of what used to be 2165 Frida Street. And as you can see right here, it is completely done.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
I just want to find out what's the deal with transportation in the area, because I know that you've been to get around those roadways, that area.
Well, it depends on which direction you're going. If you are part of the evacuation, there are some folks who are coming in to check on their homes, kind of see if friends' homes.
From Chopper 5 is these flames getting dangerously close to some power structures right now. So we are going to be seeing likely more power outages from these fires, and we've seen those dotted all around North Napa.
A mile or two and everything's dark, go for another mile, and the gas station, the convenience store might be powered up, but power is spotty. Roadways cluttered with debris and power lines, and slowly a fire. The devastation has stopped.
Are destroyed. There's also stories of heroism where he was saying that a group of firefighters were able to save some structures in the Glen Ellen area, although many in many other Sonoma County, specifically in the city of Santa Rosa. Our KPIX5's Katie Nelson continues our team coverage in Santa Rosa in the Journeys Inn mobile home park, which in many places has simply been burned to the ground. What's the latest from your location?
Yeah, so if you take a look over here, you can actually see there are still some mobile homes that are actively burning right now. So we were told by one of the residents that this was the manager's home who managed this mobile home park. And if we look off to the left, you can actually see Kaiser Permanente, you can see the hospital right behind this mobile home. So this mobile home park is just down the hill from where beds, wheelchairs, and taken to Kaiser, San Rafael, and also other local medical centers in the area. And as we're looking down through this mobile home park, we've said it before, but it almost looks like a bomb went off because this park is leveled. There are still fires burning. We can hear the gas lines, the fire still being fueled.
They're not focusing on it because it's Trader Joe's.
The firefighters just couldn't do it. They couldn't get to the other houses, and we haven't seen any active firefighting happening.
They got the observational aircraft in the air. They're trying to better assess the perimeter of the fires with helicopters and air tankers, and those have to be mobilized from some of the surrounding airfields too, as CAL FIRE is trying as much equipment on scene as possible.
By the way, you know what? I'm continuing to get emails in from my kids' schools, and they go to various districts around the Bay that aren't that close. No games, no practices, no outdoor practices because of the air quality. So if you don't live anywhere near here, I would suggest still checking to see if your kids' practice or games are continuing today, because the air quality is so bad. It's not recommended to exercise or be outdoors in this type of weather situation. Let's go live to Mark Dannon, who's not here with us in the studio because he was among those evacuated from the Sonoma area because of the fires. So
I hope blocking. It seems that some of the embers from the fire had spread over in my direction. This is a fire that's burning in Carneros and up around Nicholson Ranch Winery. It went up over the ridge up into Lovell Valley Loop in eastern Sonoma, and has been blowing embers over to the west and southwest. And so there's the fire that's closer to my neighborhood right now, and the fire department is blocking people. There's about 70 homes in my neighborhood, and almost everyone is out, but there's still 2 people that they're trying to evacuate. I would just drove through the town of Sonoma, and it's a ghost town. There's not many people out and about. There's thick white smoke everywhere. You can barely breathe. The sun is like a pink ball in the sky. But I have a lot of friends that I think may have lost their homes, and the fire seems to be spreading closer to my house right now, which is about 2.5 trees have died down, which has been a nice factor as far as spreading the embers. We're still waiting to see air support. I know a lot of people have been saying that. I know the CDF is stretched pretty thin right now, but air support has been non-existent as far as what I've seen. But we've got fires in Glen Ellen, several fires in Napa. I've heard the Sonoma Developmental Center is evacuating up near Glen Ellen as well right now. So there's just so many fires. It's tough for all the resources to deal with them all.
This is the weirdest thing, Mark. This is so weird to hear. You know, you're covering the story of maybe your own home. You're covering the story of your neighborhood. He's trying to cover it for us, and he can't get into his own neighborhood to see. This is like what a lot of people, Dan, are feeling right now. They're either evacuated or they're going back and, you know, seeing if their neighborhoods are okay, but you can't even get close to yours.
Yeah, you know, it's the same situation as a lot of people where you grab what you could at 2:30 in the morning and you headed out. there's no heading back now right now. We're just, thankful for the firefighters and the hard work they do. And hopefully, everyone gets out safely.
Oh, yeah. All right, and it's going to be a while before, or could they even tell you? Could they tell you when they could get back in? I wonder if they could. No. Okay.
Yeah, the level fire, the one's burning up there with the Carneros fire, it's over 2,000 acres, and that's the one that's really affecting the town of Sonoma right now, along with some spot fires down on South Broadway, and then a fire over to the west, over near Diamond Bay. So just a lot of fires to deal with. I was actually running home to grab a suit in case I could try and come to work tomorrow. And
right.
I can't get to my house right now, but that's following with 50-mile-per-hour gusts, and they've really been dying down right now. So hopefully in the next few hours, with some air support to the fire.
All they could say was there's rhinos and they have giraffes and and they have some extinct animals. So we don't know the status of the animals or how far they were allowed to roam. But they have birds, they have monkeys, they have all kinds of animals. See, so that's what I was. Okay, so we're saying maybe they let the animals run within the 400 acres, but not outside to get away.
Possibly, yeah.
So many stories of just that's a few people that Dana knows, that Mark knows, who've lost their homes. And that's Sonoma. And then we have Napa. Right. And then we have the biggest fires are burning in Santa Rosa.
Go down to Santa Rosa, absolutely.
So going from a couple thousand acres to where Santa Rosa's in excess of 25,000 or more acres in that area alone. So, all right, thanks a lot, Mark. Stay safe, and we'll see if we're able to see him and get to work or not. A lot of these people, they're just like him. They don't know if they have a home to go back to or can they get into their neighborhoods at all.
In many cases, they can't because the roads are still closed, neighborhoods still cordoned off.
Still so soon.
It's still too soon, right?
Yeah.
Firefighters still haven't even stopped the progression of the fire, which is still creeping into more and more communities. We've got
look at that live shot there.
Live shot on the left. Nothing but burned out rubble on those pads where those mobile homes once stood. Well, Robin has also been following the latest on the traffic front and those closures as people are not only trying to get out, but in some cases trying to get back in to assess damage, and they can't.
Right, and then the emergency crews are also telling people that they really shouldn't be driving right now unless you're under a mandatory evacuation. They want you to get somewhere safe, because it's just way too dangerous to be traveling on the roads. They have limited access to some of the communities that they're trying to drive in. The roads are blocked. Visibility is poor. You can't see that well. It looks like fog, and it's hard to drive through. They're dealing with power outages. A lot of the traffic lights are out, completely dark. And if you do encounter that situation, you're supposed to treat that as a four-way stop. I've seen from some of our live shots where the traffic lights are out and folks are just driving right on through without stopping or yielding, so that is not what you want to do. We do have some traffic alerts still in place to leave Novato, coming from accessing 116 and Highway Shiloh, meaning that's as far as you can go in both directions. They will force you off the freeway. A lot of the evacuees have made it to a safer destination. So earlier this morning, it was a mess when everyone was getting out, hitting the road. City streets were gridlocked. 101 was slow through Santa Rosa. That's no longer the case in Santa Rosa. But as I zoom out, you can see that we have commute traffic and evacuees heading from about a 2-hour drive from having coned off at Warm Springs, as well as Arnold and Watma. There's no access to 128 at Petrified Forest, also at Tubbs. 121 south of Old Sonoma Road, closed. County. Golden Gate Transit said they're not going to operate their buses through Santa Rosa because of these fires. Same thing for the Smart Rail service. It's been canceled for the remainder of the morning. Petaluma Transit, the bus services for the schools, completely canceled, as well as the Sonoma County bus service as well.
Santa Rosa, but we have massive fires burning to the north. Calistoga, a lot of that rugged hillside being burned by this fire that's now 35,000 acres in size. The Napa fire, 8 to 12,000 acres in size. Cal Fire scrambling, and Governor Jerry Brown this morning declaring a state of emergency.
So going on right now, and Scott Alonzo on the situation in Sonoma County.
To the city of Santa Rosa, a number of structures and homes that have been
that are coming to you,
receiving aid and assistance from our partners, fire suppression. So we have
now these evacuation centers that have been set up, are they in areas where you're fairly confident you won't have to evacuate them as well at some point down the road?
Our fire map here and the progressively, we have been doing some rumor control, letting folks know that the evacuation centers are safe, and they can find a list of the evacuation centers on our website if they go to the County of Sonoma website. And there are more centers opening up for folks.
What do you know about an aerial attack to help out with this? Have you seen anything, choppers or?
I have not. We have not got.
Right.
And a quick question, one more for you regarding these evacuation centers. Some of them have been set up at local schools, like another Sonoma Valley High School, to determine whether how long classes will be shut down while you guys are servicing these evacuees?
Yeah, I think that's just striking the right balance with our to ensure folks are safe, and that if classes need to resume, that they can do so in a safe manner. But that's something we certainly work with them on the ground.
Emergency services in that whole area affected, and Santa Rosa has been in a densely populated, with business. Seeing an end to this or any controller in the glow of the darkness, it was just horrific to see. Yeah. And our reporters heading into the firefight as streams of cars were heading away from the areas, like you can see, affected by these massive fires.
And one of those was Crawford spent
into Monday morning. Road closure after road closure, mixed in with evacuations all over the place, had several people not sure where to go. Even with road closed signs, cars, especially fire and police vehicles, could be seen going every which way.
We have several
Napa, their son's home. It's really just helping me today as they get aerial views from
also in flames, and behind us you could see the flames starting.
I talked already, saw their homes destroyed.
Santa Rosa, the city of Roanoke Park has ordered, so that affects all residents and businesses in the G and H sections. Those people in that area know who they are, and they've been affected by this and told to get out. So as opposed to, officials going through neighborhoods with sirens and bullhorns and knocking on, if you're a business or a home affected of Roanoke Park, different towns and areas affected in the North Bay because of the North Bay firestorms that started earlier this morning around midnight.
Completely accurate. This thing was fueled at that period now where they're beginning to die down, Annie?
Yeah, James. In fact, the wind advisory has been dropped for most of the North and East Bays. It's only the Delta where we still have a wind advisory until 10 this morning, so for about another 30 minutes. But let's talk about the red flag warning that will be around hills. We'll still see some strong. We'll see the Delta for Fairfield. We have a wind coming out from the north, heading south to around 24 miles an hour. So it's going to be smoky and hazy for much of the Bay Area today and tomorrow. One of those winds coming in from the north, blowing southward since last night. Boy, that really compromised our air quality. So this is the Bay. If you're in the East Bay, a lot of folks, they can still smell the smoke in the air. A lot of parents have been asking me, hey, can I take my kids outside today to the playground? And I'm saying, no, that's not a good idea. You should limit their outdoor activities today and also tomorrow. Same deal goes for the elderly and, of course, your pets. Right now, temperatures are warming up a little bit. We're seeing a few more 70-degree readings now in firefighters, especially up in the North Bay. We'll see mid-80s if you're in Novato, Napa, Sonoma, and potentially upper 80s in Santa Rosa this afternoon. We'll also see 80s for much of the East Bay today. So these numbers are still well above average for this time of year. We'll really start the cool down middle of the week and toward the end of the week. But again, the next 24 hours, firefighters will still be dealing with occasionally gusty conditions up in the higher elevations, very low humidity as well, and some pretty warm temperatures for this time of year. So we'll keep you posted on any changes in the weather. Back to you.
All right, Andy, thank you.
And now taking a look at the wide area that's been hit by these fires from Santa Rosa, well, starting Calistoga down to Santa Rosa and then over to Napa and Sonoma and then all the way down. A fire was burning along the Highway 37 area, but Highway 37 has since reopened. But these other areas all have active fires burning right now as we speak.
Yeah, and some of the most dramatic pictures we've seen this morning have come out of Santa Rosa, and that's where KRON 4's Will Tran is standing by once again to give us the update on the situation there. And Will, last we checked with you, you were in that mobile home park talking to one of those residents, and what a compelling story he had about the wind and the smoke and trying to get out of there.
Everybody shares the same story. They have their own story to talk about. The fires are still burning at this hour, and every past minute we see more and more people returning to this area. Before I interview some of the people who live in this mobile home park, this is called Coddington Mobile Estates. You can see the fire department still focusing their attention on Trader Joe's. So Trader Joe's obviously damaged from this fire, but the building's still upright at this, who survived, and they're Off in the distance there, that's that strip mall that the fire department, they were focusing so much of their attention this morning. If you watched us from the very beginning, I was on the overpass, the freeway overpass on Bicentennial Way, showing strip mall had burned into the ground. Let's talk to Eric.
I wasn't even actually asleep yet. The Port of Art Mexican restaurant and heard the loud popping and banging noises, and seen the hill behind us on Fountain Grove was all engulfed in flames. And then I just immediately told my lady, get the stuff and get the kid and go. I'll catch up with you guys later. I'm going to grab the hose and hose down what I can and see what I can do.
Okay, you walk us through your home. Your home is on the other side of that light blue home that's still standing. Your home is the one with the red roof right there, right?
Yes, sir.
So you were out there.
I sprayed down the baby blue house with the white trim, and I sprayed down my house, and then I sprayed down the house after that, which is an elderly lady that I banged on her door and told her to get out, and other people were trying to wake her up to get her out.
What made you decide, okay, I've done all I can. If it's still standing, great. If not, then I've done all I can. How long were you physically out there?
I was out there for about 30 to 35 minutes, and I stopped when I seen big hot ambers coming down that my hose was not putting out. And that's about when I gave up and I stopped and I grabbed my dogs and I hopped in my truck and I headed to Runner Park.
Okay, I gotta ask, when you turned the corner and you saw your home still there?
Yes, I was very, very sick. My house, the fence burnt, one of my sheds burnt, and my metal shutter behind my house is metal and it looks like plastic melted. That's how hot it got.
But at least most of it seems to be intact.
But everything's still intact. Nothing's damaged. The taillights on my car are a little damaged. They look like melted plastic, and my license plate frame's gone. But other than that, I mean, I'm very, very lucky, and we're very fortunate about these firefighters getting here when they did.
I mean, you turned the corner, you saw it. It must have been a huge sense of relief. Like, yes, thank goodness.
It was a very huge sense of relief. It's the last thing you want to do is try to figure out where you're going to live and where you're going to go with your family and your animals. It's not a good thing to think about, and we were in Runner Park all morning just stressing the whole time.
Did you hear the popping of the ammunition store?
I heard the popping of the ammunition store this morning when I came back to check on my house, when my stepbrother told me that my house is okay, and I heard a bunch of crackle and popping and knew that it was the ammo at the gun store over here.
Okay, and when you left, I talked to one of your neighbors earlier. His name is David. He said visibility was awful.
Yeah, visibility was awful. I couldn't even see with my headlights on. High beams made it worse, just like the fog does. And then I just tried to get to the freeway and get out of the smoke as quick as I could.
How did you know to evacuate? Were there people going through here, firefighters saying, get out, or it was just too obvious?
There was actually nobody here yelling to evacuate. It was just pretty much all the homeowners just deciding that it was time and we had to go if we had to go. We were actually waiting for we thought our landlord would come around honking the horn telling everybody to go, but nobody was in sight, so we just did things on our own.
Well, I'm sure your neighbors will thank you for your valiant effort to stay there for at least 40 minutes to put water on there. So your home, partially damaged, but at least it's there. Thank you so much, Eric, for joining me this morning. There are homes out there, obviously, not as lucky. They've been burned to the ground. Yes, Eric?
So I just want to say one thing, that whoever says using water to save your house doesn't work, that's a myth.
Okay. Then Eric, you can't convince him now. He stayed 40 minutes, and he'll tell you forevermore that he helped save his life, and he and his stepbrother right there, it looks like they're walking back to their home to get a closer look at that. He even said, actually, I'm not sure, we haven't heard any reports of that, but he wanted to get back because he's fearful of any possible looting down the road. So he's taking that extra step, just like he did that extra step of staying behind to make sure that his home was safe. Daria, back to you.
We haven't heard any reports of looting. I mean, anybody who's rushing to these areas, is rushing to help. I've heard reports of in southern Marin, they're sending up just personal trucks, and then obviously, you know, official fire vehicles are coming up to help as well. And the crazy thing about this is, you look at the mobile home park, right? And a lot of mobile homes have been leveled. You're looking at an area, it's weird. You know, you got mobile homes and you have mansions all burned alike. So we're going to hear stories of people who live in these big fancy mansions with pools, and I've seen them go up in flames and they're lost. They're lost. And then you see these mobile home parks are lost. Same thing with business complexes, little mom and pop shops, and then also big areas like rich or poor.
It doesn't really matter what size your home is. For most of us, most of what we own in life is in our home.
Yeah.
And when that goes up, you've got, stories of people that are going to have to start from scratch again and try and rebuild and move forward with their lives. And for those that are at evacuation shelters that haven't had a chance to come back yet and see what their neighborhood looks like, for some.
The security is, they just can't secure every neighborhood, so our people are just going back to this mobile home park. Our Mark Dannon is trying to get back to his home outside of Sonoma, the square, and he's not allowed back in to see if his home was destroyed or not, but he knows that some of his neighbors' homes are destroyed. And that guy was just talking about, Rohnert Park, and that's where we're going for shelter. Well, some areas of Rohnert Park have been told they need to evacuate now as well. And we've heard them open the Marin Center down in San Rafael as an evacuation area for people to go.
So there's going to be a long train of people driving down 101 to get to that evacuation facility. We talked this morning with one of our own producers who lives in Santa Rosa that had been evacuated, and he's in that same boat in this wagon train, really, of refugees that are working their way down 101
to Novato.
He was hoping to try and find some place where they could secure some sort of shelter for the day and for the night to come. And who knows how many more nights they're going to need to stay away before they're allowed to come back and try and piece together what's left of their lives.
And talking about that guy said how he wanted to save his pets. You save your. There was an equestrian center that was set up for them. And they talked about how they couldn't enact their emergency claims. We're hoping that those animals made it okay and that they're safe this morning. Giraffes, rhinoceros, monkeys, birds. We're hoping that they're okay this morning. We have another live report to go to now as well.
We do, yeah. Hazik Medune joining us via phone. He's in Petaluma this morning as we're marshaling actually live, all our resources in the North Bay covering this from all angles. So again, Hazik, you're in Petaluma. Give us the lay of the land. What's happening there?
Yeah, I'm here at the North Plaza Mall in Petaluma. I pulled over to find one of these surgical masks, because the breathing is really difficult out here. When I got here, I found a CVS pharmacy that gave away all of their surgical masks to folks in the area. And then when I came outside, I noticed that the parking lot is full of people who evacuated as a result of this fire. And one of those people is Maritza Barajas, right? And she's from Sonoma, the town of Sonoma. And just tell us your story. This morning you woke up to smoke and fire, and then you were told to leave.
We were told to leave, yes. Our neighbor actually knocked on our door and said that the alarm was going off and that we had to leave because the smoke was really bad, and we had to just gather some stuff, especially the things like, some food or anything that we could gather up, and then just be prepared to leave.
And you're not alone out there. I see there's several families.
We have our family with us from different places. Some of them live closer to the area where it was actually burning, so that's why we just called them first to evacuate.
Now, when you left this morning, did you actually see the flames, or was it just intense smoke, or what did you experience?
It was, for me especially, it was intense smoke. My aunt saw the flames and everything because she was a little closer to the area, but we were next, so we had to evacuate, and it was really, really intense smoke. I have 2 small children, and I'm very concerned about the everything that they're really inhaling in that. So.
And what street do you live on?
I live in Spring Street, so it's on the Boys Hot Spring area.
Mm-hmm. And at this point right now, a lot of folks are gathering here. Even they're getting coffee and free coffee and food here at Don Pancho's restaurant, right? This is like a rallying point right now for folks. What happens next?
It really is. We have some friends that are going right now back to Sonoma, and they're saying that it looks like it's clearing up. We still have some friends and family that live.
And your family be safe. Thanks for talking to us.
Thank you so much.
So that's just one story here at the North Plaza Mall in Petaluma. The parking lot is filling up with folks, many of whom have evacuated as a result of this wildfire here in the North Bay. Back to you in the studio.
All right, thanks a lot, Hazik. And I got to ask the control room on the right-hand side, they're now full. What area are we showing? We're running through some video, and it's new video.
It looks like a mobile home park.
Okay, that's the mobile home park in Santa Rosa. And then we saw like a neighborhood. We saw cars. Were those cars also in Santa Rosa? That is Santa Rosa as well. This is all new video that we've never seen before.
And what would be interesting to find out is which mobile home park this is, because don't forget there were 2 that caught fire this morning, one on each side of Highway 101, right there at Bicentennial Way. Crom Force, Tran is at 1. It looks as though this